Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
You're still wearing that thing.
Oh. Yeah. I guess I am. It's not easy to forget. I know it seems like I should be able to. It's just...
It's okay. I get it.
It's part of who you are at some point, isn't it?
Listen, I came here because I have to tell you something.
What is it?
It's about what happened to Faith and Lily. I'm not sure where to start. Faith, Lily, and we had this plan. We were gonna find a way out. Leave the pudding and pie.
Ah, the trio.
But then Faith decided to get some leverage. She stole a picture of Crane and Lily together. The minute Faith stole that photo, we had dirt on one of the Crooked Man's allies. If he found out, I had no choice. You have to understand. You've seen how they kept us quiet in that place. Can you imagine the lengths they go just to silence someone who had physical evidence?
What did you do?
So what did you do?
I freaked out, okay? I thought if I came clean to Georgie, he'd get the Crooked Man to leave us alone. We could just forget the whole thing. Maybe try again in a few years.
You what?
So I told him everything. And I begged for mercy for all of us. I didn't want anyone to die over a picture.
You were just trying to protect them.
Keep him safe.
Yeah. Georgie promised he'd smooth things over with the Crooked Man. But then... Oh, God.
It's alright.
I don't know what happened, but that night at the club, Georgie came back and told me things had changed. He had to make an example of us. We had committed treason. And while the two of us were sitting there, as he was telling me this, Faith walked in, and I had to watch while Georgie...
Wait, so Georgie told you all this? Not the Crooked Man? Back at the well, you said...
I know what I said.
But it wasn't the truth,
Oh
was it?
What
no.
does it matter? I know the Crooked Man did it. So what if it wasn't the whole truth? It was true enough.
Ah, silence.
I know he ordered their deaths. I wasn't gonna let him get away with it because of a stupid technicality.
Like the truth.
Especially after that night, after Faith. I tried to warn Lily, but she wasn't with her scheduled appointment. So I did the only thing I could do. I left Faith's head at your doorstep.
You?
I walked her over here, and I left her.
So, that piece of fabric I found near there, that was you?
Yeah, I cut my leg trying to get over the fence.
So you started all this?
I just pointed you in the right direction. People like us get forgotten all the time. The Crooked Man was counting on that. When we suffer, we do it in silence. And the world likes it that way. We just fade, like we never existed. I couldn't watch that happen to Faith or Lily. Nobody cares about us. Not really.
It's going to be different now, I promise. Things like that won't happen
I'm gonna change.
Not while I'm around.
You'll make things right. You and Snow.
I don't know. Seems like no matter what I do, it's just not enough for her, or anyone. I just can't win with these people.
I know it might feel that way, but they need you, Bigby. Both of you. You two make a good team. The way you look out for each other, and look out for us. You don't see that a lot these days.
I don't really know where we stand anymore. Things are just different.
Huh. Things are always different. Look,
Yeah.
Bigby. After everything you've done for us, maybe they don't want to admit it, but without you, none of this would have happened. You listened when no one else would. You knew when to show mercy, and you brought justice to this town. Finally. Because you brought the Crooked Man in, everyone saw who he really was. So from where I'm standing, you did the right thing. You've been given this job for a reason. And I left Faith at your doorstep because I knew if anyone stood a chance against the Crooked Man, it was you.
I hope I've at least done some good here.
You've changed this place. For better or worse, Fabletown wouldn't be the same without you.
Doesn't fill me with confidence, that last bit, but better or worse.
You're not as bad as everyone says you are. I need to tell you something. I have to tell you something.
I feel like we've met before.
You're trying to place me. You like my ribbon? Do you like it?
Faith wore one too.
Would hide her beauty so she could escape his kingdom.
They used
Did Dr. Swinehart ever get back to you about
He
Faith?
said he wanted to run more tests. I hope you find what you're looking for.
Is she no.
See you around, Wolf.
So she was Faith? What? Right. What did you do to Georgie? You and 31.4% of players left Georgie to die. I was more thinking... Well, it was partially that I don't want to be a killer death through action thing. And partially... This has been... By the way, this has been a very cinematic, talky kind of episode of this game. So, well, the final episode. So you got to actually get all the talky cutscene stuff, story stuff. Not as much puzzly interaction-y stuff, where I had a chance to talk myself. So I apologise. But yeah, also I thought maybe there would have been the possibility of getting Swinehart. There doesn't say anything about Vivian, so maybe there wasn't a chance to save her. Did you give the Crooked Man a trial? You and 89.6% of players put the Crooked Man back alive. Yes. That makes sense. So yeah, a lot of people... It did seem to be what he wanted, but again, it's the mercy and the right thing stuff. Right, how did you punish the Crooked Man? You and 47.4% of players chose to imprison the Crooked Man. Does that count the second one, after he kind of tries to strangle you? And I wonder if that's a plurality, because it's not a majority. It might be a plurality. Did you accept TJ's gift? You and 98.5% of players decided to accept TJ's gift. 1.5% of players are horrible people. What were your last words to Nerissa? You / Faith? Possibly, probably. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that was the point of the whole... Because I think Faith said that as well, didn't she? The "you're not as bad as everyone says you are" line, I think. You and 54.8% of players said, I hope I've done some good here. Yes. Should I go on to the... Yeah, let's go on to the credits and talk. Oh, no! Oh, these are all my things. You promised Beauty you wouldn't tell Beast that you saw her outside the apartment, and you impressed her with your detective skills. Yeah. Bluebeard, you fought him after the interrogation. Colin, you gave him a drink when he asked for one in your apartment. You helped him to avoid the farm. I didn't. I just said that it was Snow White's decision. The Crooked Man, you took him back to the Witching Well, and you imprisoned him. Faith, you gave him money after the fight with the Woodsman. Deceased. Georgie, you left him to die. You smashed up his place. Deceased. Only a little bit. We offered Greenleaf a job. Lawrence, we went to his place first and prevented him from dying. Snow White, you brought her along with you to the Trip Trap. You showed her Crane's photograph of her. You promised to bring the Crooked Man in alive. Tiny Tim, you chose to wait for him. TJ, we accepted his beetle and promised to give it to Snow. Toad, we stood up for him when Snow wanted to send him to the farm, and we gave him money. So yeah, I mean, I think we said very similar things to Colin and Toad, and I don't know why they've had such different things. Like we said, it's Snow's decision, but we're not going to not help. And then the game's like, we're going to send Toad and not Colin. All right. So here we are at the credits. I've enjoyed playing this. I really have done. I think this last episode's been a bit troublesome from my perspective as a Let's Player, because it's been a lot more of the conversation, and so and it's one of those problems with having the timer that I understand from a gameplay perspective. It means you've got to give your instant reaction and you can't kind of dodge around it. But from the perspective of myself as a Let's Player, it was rather frustrating, because I don't want to interrupt the person who's speaking because they still have lines to discuss what I'm doing or say the line I'm saying. So the cutscene conversation stuff, not the best. Yeah, and there weren't that many puzzles. It was mainly loads of QuickTime events. It would have been nice if early on, because they do say silence is an option in conversations. It would have been nice if early on they said for the QuickTime events that there's no failure state to them. It's just you're choosing not to do it. Like thinking to the car with Georgie and Vivian. Though I wonder what happens if you go after the limousine. That's something to think about, I suppose. Go on, Brain. You're thinking of something else. The story. Yeah, the story's quite interesting. I like the little twist at the end, because there's still a kind of... Was Nerissa Faith? So there were 3 of them. So was it something like... interesting. Was it something like... Come on, Brain. What was I talking about? I got distracted by the comics. I mean, graphical novels. Oh dear, I forgot what it was. Oh, right, so there's the 3 of them, because there was the picture of the 3 of them. So was it something like she used the coat? Because did we actually know what Faith looked like? Well, no. Because the glamour wore off, so obviously she didn't use it as a glamour? I'm really confused. I'm trying to think how she did it. Unless she gave Nerissa her stuff to pretend she was Faith. To cover for her in some way? I don't know how that would have worked. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. So yeah, this is based on the Fables comic series. I still like my idea of the Bloody Mary Snow White dichotomy, because then it gives Bigby reason. I think up until the 3rd episode, the end of the 3rd episode, I'm not really sure there's a villain proper. Okay, maybe actually the 2nd one. At the very end, Crane's the villain, and then that links in a bit more, which is yeah. But if you had that Bloody Mary Snow White kind of split dichotomy and choice for Bigby, but of course you're limited to the source material, so you can't really do a huge amount of fiddling around with the story, because it's not Telltale Games' story to fiddle with, and you've probably got a similar problem with the Game of Thrones series. Then again, I think they're playing with very minor characters. I think they may have invented characters, very minor characters. Whereas in this one, I think Bigby and Snow are principal characters, so you've got a lot less room to play with. Which is probably why sometimes you don't have choices. Or the choices are very narrow. But yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed it. I might play some more of these Telltale games. These kinds of Telltale games, not the Back to the Future ones. Although, as I say, the conversation is a little difficult for me to let's play, because I don't want to talk over people. Yes, so this was fun. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed all the episodes. I'm guessing if you're watching this one, you've watched all the way through. So thank you for watching everything. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Thanks for watching.